Hi everyone, my name is Kartik and my channel is about mental models. In my 5th video on the Systems Thinking mini-series, I'm going to be talking about pinch points. You've probably heard of the saying that a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, or maybe that the system is only as fast as your slowest process. And these sayings are used to highlight limitations. The chain will break if the force exerted on it is greater than its weakest link. This therefore restricts you to a maximum force with which you can use the chain. Even though you may wish to complete something faster, the length of time will depend on how fast the slowest part of that process takes, which again is another restriction. In other words, in terms of the system, even if you want to, you can't go faster. And so these are restrictions, and a pinch point is a form of restriction. It is something that can limit the flow or slow down the workflows in a system. A good way to visualize this is a pipe with water flowing inside. So you've got your pipe and you've got your water flowing inside. If the pipe has a pinch point, so like that, then the water flow will be slower. So if we say the flow is in that direction, and after the pinch point, the water flow will be slower. And so if we can identify and fix the pinch point, then we can speed up the water flow. This is the point of this mental model. And taking this thought further, if we can find the pinch points in a system and remediate them, then we can make a stronger, quicker, more agile, more efficient system. And so it's not only about knowing what a pinch point is, but it's more important to be able to identify and then fix them. So how do we do this from the context of systems thinking? So, firstly, we identify the system. We need to identify the beginning and end of the system, as well as all of the interlinked parts. Number 2, we need to create a flow diagram of the different components in the system and how they interact with each other. This helps to visualize the system. Number 3, by drawing out the flow, we can easily identify where the system could be overloaded, where it slows down, or where delays can occur. And these are your pinch points. Now that we have identified the pinch points, we need to, number 4, analyze these by understanding why it is happening. So, are there resource challenges? Are there skills gaps or lack of training? Are there issues with the coordination between the two linked components? We need to uncover the reason. After we do that, the next step is to remediate, to essentially widen the pipe. We have located the pinch point, we have understood why it is there. The next step is to fix it by widening the pipe. And by widening the pipe, I mean that we need to bring the restrictive process more in line with the rest of the system. The type of remediation required will be on a case-by-case basis because it's not a one-size-fits-all. And finally, number 6, after implementing the fix, we need to monitor the system to see if the pinch point has been resolved, and also to look for new pinch points. We also need to check if what we have fixed hasn't caused another pinch point further down the process. So we fixed one part of it, but overloaded a subsequent process. So we need to check for that as well. So let's take an example of a business travel expenses management system. Very long-winded. So that's the example. So if, for example, after incurring business travel expenses, an employee needs to collate receipts, then fill in a paper expense form, after which, and this details all of the expenses claimed for and the total which they want to claim for, so the total and the breakdown. Then they put the form and receipts into an envelope and post it to the finance department. The finance department then, I'm going to call it FD for short. The finance department then review the expense or each of the expenses to see if they are in line with policy. They then approve. Once they approve or reject, but once they approve, they send an email to the employee's line manager for line manager approval. And once the line manager has approved, a payment is made to the employee, so they get reimbursed their expenses. Now, you can probably identify that there are a number of inefficiencies in this scenario. The manual form filling and sending via post, the review of all expenses by the finance department, and the secondary approval by the employee's line manager. Even the record keeping right at the beginning could prove to be cumbersome, as you are traveling and have to make sure that you've kept all of your receipts during the duration of your travel. And so what we've done is we have identified the system, which is here. So that's the first thing. We have drawn it out. This is our flow diagram. So that's number 1. That's number 2 from here, flow diagram. So this is our flow diagram. We have identified the pinch points. We've sort of just mentioned a few of them just now and analysed them. So how do we now remediate? Well, use a completely different colour. This process here, that process could be fully automated. For instance, here there could be an app on your phone, and you could take a photo of the receipts and scan them into the app and then upload the receipts into the app. This can then be attached to an electronic form which is part generated from the photographed receipts within the app itself, and you've got a pre-populated form and you don't need to fill out any paper-based forms. This is then, obviously, you just submit. So you submit through the app the expenses to the finance department, let's say, but it won't go to the finance department, because what we can do is we can have the policy loaded into the app itself. Therefore, the app automatically checks if the expenses are in line with the policy. So load policy into app. And then what you can do is have some independent testing to ensure that the app is working properly. Once reviewed, the final claim can be sent to the line manager for them to approve. And then, so line manager approval, and then payment is made. There could be a further tweak in the company policy in that very small expenses, whatever these are defined as, very small expenses do not need to be approved by the line manager. So it goes sort of from here, goes down, and then it bypasses the line manager approval and payment is made. But this is for very small expenses and as defined in the corporate policy. This would mean that the line manager is only looking at significant expenses, which means that it would be freeing up their time from the lesser administrative responsibilities. And so in this way, we can make the system more efficient. I'm sure there are other ways to remediate this scenario, but the point I'm making is that by doing this or doing something else, which you may have identified, but by doing this is my example, the overall system will become more efficient and more streamlined. And so that's what pinch points is about. And that's all for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. And whilst you're here, why not check out my previous video on systems thinking, flashing on screen here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye bye.